Welcome dear friends to my video lecture on symbolic interactionalism in educational sociology. It talks about the social hierarchy within the school system itself. How certain words, quotes affect the students either positively or negatively. Everything is discussed here in this philosophy of symbolic interactionalism. That is in sociology, in educational sociology. Let us straight away enter into the topic. Symbolic interactionism is a sociological perspective that emphasizes the role of symbols and interactions in the construction of social reality. This approach, rooted in the works of early sociologists such as George Herbert Mead and Herbert Blumer, focuses on how individuals create and interpret meanings through social interactions. In the context of education, symbolic interactionism offers a unique lens through which to understand the complexity of the educational systems, the roles of teachers and students, and the social dynamics that shape learning experiences. What are the key concepts of symbolic interactionism? At the core of symbolic interactionism are several key concepts: symbols and meanings. Symbols are fundamental to human interaction. They can be words, gestures, objects, or even facial expressions that convey meaning. In educational settings, the symbols include textbooks, classroom layouts, and school rituals, all of which carry specific meanings that influence behavior and expectations. Social interaction, another important aspect in symbolic interactionism is social interaction. This approach holds that individuals act based on the meanings that things have for them, which are derived from social interactions. In schools, students and teachers continuously engage in interactions that shape their identities and roles within the educational environment. Self, the particular concept, the self, this symbolic interactionism talks about. Mead introduced the concept of the self as a social construct that develops through interactions with others. In education, the self is influenced by how students perceive themselves in relation to their peers, teachers, and the broader educational system. Role taking. This is the process through which individuals imagine themselves in the positions of others, allowing them to understand different perspectives. In classroom, role taking can foster empathy among students and enhance their social skills. What do you mean by the definition of the situation in symbolic interactionism? Symbolic interactionism argue that individuals interpret and define their situations, which influences their actions. In educational context, how students define their classroom experiences can impact their engagement and achievement. What are the implications for the sociology of education? What is the implication of symbolic interactionism on the sociology of education? The symbolic interactionist approach provides valuable insights into various aspects of the sociology of education, including teacher-student relationships, classroom dynamics, and the construction of educational identities. Teacher-student relationships. Symbolic interactionism emphasizes the importance of interactions between teachers and students. Teachers play a significant role in shaping students' self-concepts and academic identities. Positive interactions, characterized by support and encouragement, can enhance students' motivation and engagement. Conversely, negative interactions such as labeling or criticism can lead to feelings of inadequacy and disengagement. For instance, if a teacher consistently views a student as a trouble born, this label may influence the student's self-perception and academic performance, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. Classroom dynamics. The classroom is a microcosm of society where various social interactions take place. Symbolic interactionism, very sorry, I think I pronounced it wrongly. Symbolic interactionism encourages an examination of how classroom rituals, norms, and expectations are established through interactions. For example, classroom discussions can create a sense of community, but they can also highlight social hierarchies. The way students communicate with each other and with the teacher can reveal underlying power dynamics impacting participation and collaborations. Students who feel comfortable contributing are likely to develop stronger sense of belonging, while those who feel marginalized may withdraw from interactions. In other words, students who feel comfortable contributing are likely to develop a stronger sense of belonging, while those who feel marginalized may withdraw from interactions. Then, construction of educational identities. Students often construct their educational identities based on the meanings that derive from their interactions with the peers and teachers. These identities can be influenced by factors such as social class, race, and gender. For example, a student from a lower socio-economic background may internalize the societal messages about academic ability and achievement, affecting their self-esteem and aspirations. Additionally, the interplay of peer relationship can either reinforce or challenge students' academic identities. Supportive peer groups can foster a sense of belonging and academic success, while negative peer influences can lead to disengagement and underachievement. Socialization processes. Education is a primary site for socialization, where individuals learn the norms, values, and expectations of society. Symbolic interactionism highlights how students learn these cultural codes through daily interactions. For example, students may observe how their peers react to authority figures, which informs their understanding of acceptable behavior. Furthermore, school rituals such as assemblies, graduations, and sports events serve as symbolic markers of identity and belonging, influencing students' perceptions of themselves and their place within the educational community. Impact of labels. The labeling theory, a concept within symbolic interactionism, emphasizes how labels applied to individuals can shape their self-concept and behavior. In educational settings, labels such as gifted, troublemaker, or average can have profound effects on students' self-esteem and academic trajectories. For instance, students labeled as gifted may receive more encouragement and resources, reinforcing their identity as high achievers, while those labeled as troublemakers may face punitive measures that hinder their academic growth. What are the challenges and critics regarding symbolic interactionism? While symbolic interactionism offers valuable insights into the sociology of education, it is not without its challenges and criticisms. One criticism is its potential overemphasis on micro-level interactions at the expense of broader structural factors such as socio-economic status, institutional policies, and systemic inequalities. Critics argue that focusing solely on individual interactions may overlook the ways in which larger societal structures shape educational experiences and outcomes. Additionally, the subjective nature of symbolic interactionism can make it difficult to generalize findings across different educational contexts. What holds true in one classroom may not apply in another, leading to challenges in developing comprehensive theories that account for diverse experiences. What we could give as concluding remarks: symbolic interactionism provides a nuanced understanding of the sociology of education by focusing on the meanings derived from social interactions and the role of symbols in shaping educational experiences. By examining teacher-student relationships, classroom dynamics, and the construction of educational identities, this approach highlights the importance of interpersonal interactions, in shaping students' academic journeys. Despite its criticism, symbolic interactionism remains a valuable framework for understanding the complexities of education, emphasizing the role of agency and meaning making in the learning process. As educators and researchers continue to explore the dynamics of educational settings, interacting symbolic interactionist perspectives can lead to a deeper understanding of how individuals navigate and construct their educational realities. Now let us examine some of the questions related to the topics. What is the primary focus of symbolic interactionism? Social structures, economic factors, symbols and interactions, historical context. Of course, you know that. Symbols and interactions. Symbolic interactionism emphasizes the role of symbols and social interactions in constructing social reality. Who is credited with the foundational concepts of symbolic interactionism? Karl Marx, Max Weber, George Herbert Mead, Emil Durkheim. George Herbert Mead. Mead is one of the key figures associated with developing the principles of symbolic interactionism. Which of the following best describes a symbol in the context of symbolic interactionism? A tangible object, an abstract idea, anything that carries meaning, a social norm. That is, anything that carries meaning. Which of the following best describes a symbol in the context of symbolic interactionism? Here the symbol means anything that carries meaning. Symbols can be words, gestures, or objects that convey meaning in social interactions. According to symbolic interactionism, how do individuals act? Based on social structures, based on meanings derived from interactions, based on economic conditions, based on historical precedents. So, according to symbolic interactionism, how do individuals act? Based on meanings that derived from interactions. Individuals interpret meanings through social interactions which influence their actions. Which concept describes the process of imagining oneself in another person's position? That is called role taking. Which concept describes the process of imagining oneself in another person's position? That is role taking, not other options here. Role taking allows individuals to understand different perspectives by placing themselves in others' positions. What is the definition of the situation in symbolic interactionism? The physical environment, the historical context, how individuals interpret and define their experiences, the roles individuals occupy. So what is the definition of the situation in symbolic interactionism? That is, how individuals interpret and define their experiences. How individuals interpret and define their experience. The definition of the situation refers to the personal meanings individuals are assigned to their social context. How does symbolic interactionism view the teacher-student relationship? As a hierarchical structure, as a collaborative interaction, as an authoritarian dynamic, as a purely transactional relationship. How does symbolic interactionism view the teacher-student relationship? As a collaborative interaction. The approach emphasizes the importance of interactions between teachers and students in shaping educational experiences. What effect can positive teacher-student interactions have on students? Increased frustration, enhanced motivation and engagement, greater academic pressure, lower self-esteem. So what effect can positive teacher-student interactions have on students? That is enhanced motivation and engagement. Supportive interactions can foster a positive academic environment and encourage student participation. What is the term self-fulfilling prophecy referred to in education? The effect of societal expectations on achievement, the tendency of students to predict their own grades when labels influence students' behavior and self-perceptions, the impact of peer pressure on academic performance. So, what is the term self-fulfilling prophecy referred to in education? That is, when labels influence students' behaviors and self-perception, this happens. What does this happen? The self-fulfilling prophecy happens to the students. A self-fulfilling prophecy occurs when a label leads students to act in ways that confirm the label. What aspect of classroom dynamics is highlighted by symbolic interactionism? Teacher authority, the curriculum, the social hierarchies among students, standardized testing. So what aspect of classroom dynamics is highlighted by symbolic interactionism? The social hierarchies among students. Classroom dynamics reveal how interactions can establish power relationships and influence student behavior. How can peer relationships affect students' academic identities? They have no impact on identities. They can reinforce or challenge self-perceptions. They only impact behavior, not identity. They are solely influenced by teachers. So how can peer relationships affect students' academic identities? They can reinforce or challenge self-perceptions. Peer interactions can validate or undermine students' academic identities, affecting their self-concept. What does symbolic interactionism say about the process of socialization in schools? It is irrelevant to education. It occurs through interactions and observations. It is solely determined by the curriculum. It is a one-way process. So what does symbolic interactionism say about the process of socialization in schools? That is, socialization occurs through interactions and observations. Education socializes students through the meanings derived from interactions with the peers and teachers. What role do school rituals play according to symbolic interactionism? What role do school rituals play according to symbolic interactionism? They have no significance. They reinforce educational content. They serve as symbolic markers of identity. They are purely administrative activities. So what is the idea here? What role do school rituals play? That is, they serve as symbolic markers of identity. School rituals signify belonging and identity, shaping students' perceptions of themselves in the school context. Which of the following best illustrates labeling theory? A school's grading system, a student labeled as gifted receiving advanced resources, a new educational policy, a teacher's lesson plan. Which of the following best illustrates labeling theory? That is, a student labeled as gifted receiving advanced resources. So that is what this labeling theory. That is an example of labeling theory here. How do labels affect students' academic trajectories? In other words, academic growth. They have no effect on academic performance. They create opportunities for all students equally. They can limit or enhance students' self-esteem and expectations. They solely depend on parental involvement. So what is the question? How do labels affect students' academic trajectories? That is, they can limit or enhance students' self-esteem and expectations. Labels can influence how students view their abilities and future academic success. What critique is often directed at symbolic interactionism? It ignores individual agency. It overemphasizes macro level structures. It neglects the influence of personal experiences. It can overlook larger social structures. What critique is often directed at symbolic interactionism? It can overlook larger social structures. Critics argue that focusing on interactions may minimize the impact of broader societal and structural factors. Which factor is emphasized in the construction of educational identities? Classroom sizes, socio-economic status, teacher salaries, school funding. Which factor is emphasized in the construction of educational identities? That is socio-economic status of students. Socio-economic status can influence students' self-perception and identity formation within the educational context. What is one way that symbolic interactionism contributes to understanding classroom dynamics? By focusing solely on educational policies, by analyzing teacher evaluations, by exploring the meanings behind student interactions, by studying historical education systems. So, what is one way that symbolic interactionism contributes to understanding classroom dynamics? that is by exploring the meanings behind student interactions. Symbolic interactionism helps to reveal how interactions shape students' behaviors and attitudes in the classroom. How do supportive peer groups influence student behavior? Supportive peer groups. They increase competition among students, they encourage individualism, they foster a sense of belonging and success, they create distraction. So what is the correct answer? How do supportive peer groups influence student behavior? That is, they foster a sense of belonging and success. Supportive peer groups can enhance students' academic engagement and emotional well-being. In what way can negative peer influence impact academic performance? By improving collaboration, by encouraging greater participation, by leading to disengagement and underachievement, by promoting healthy competition. So which is the right one? In what way can negative peer influences impact academic performance? By leading to disengagement and underachievement. Negative peer influences can create an environment that discourages academic effort and motivation. What role does context play in the definition of the situation? It is irrelevant to social interactions. It determines how individuals interpret their experiences. It is solely based on historical facts. It is dictated by authority figures. What role does context play in the definition of the situation? Context shapes the meanings individuals assign to their social interactions and situations. Which of the following is a limitation of symbolic interactionism? It ignores individual interactions. It emphasizes the role of power dynamics. It may overlook systemic inequalities. It overemphasizes individual agency. Which of the following is a limitation of symbolic interactionism? It may overlook systemic inequalities. While focusing on individual interactions, symbolic interactionism can sometimes neglect larger structural influences on education. What aspect of educational experiences does symbolic interactionism particularly highlight? Standardized testing outcomes, teacher qualifications, social meanings derived from interactions, curriculum design. What aspect of educational experiences does symbolic interactionism particularly highlight? That is, social meanings derived from interaction. That is the theme in all the questions actually. Social meaning derived from the interaction between the teachers and students, etc., with the society, everything. So the approach emphasizes how meanings derived from interactions shape educational experiences and identities. How can the concept of self be described in the context of education? How can the concept of self be described in the context of education? A fixed attribute, a social construct shaped through interactions, a biological determinant, a historical legacy. A social construct shaped through interactions. The self is developed through social interactions and influences, particularly in educational settings. Which educational element can influence how students learn cultural codes? Parental involvement, daily interactions with the peers and teachers, school facilities, national education policies. Which educational element can influence how students learn cultural codes? Daily interactions with the peers and teachers. Students learn cultural norms and expectations through their everyday interactions in educational settings. Of course, we understood the basic concept here, mostly social interaction, interactions between the teacher and student. The meanings that derive from the interaction, that shapes the self of the individual, self of the student. That is the idea given here in this topic. So God bless you abundantly. Let us meet in other video lecture. Kindly subscribe if you wish. I will be giving in Tamil also, and I will be giving PDF files also, getting ready soon. And if you react to this, perhaps I will speed up the process. If you really need the PDF files, kindly let me know that through the WhatsApp group. WhatsApp groups. So I will be able to speed up the process and give it in no time. God bless you abundantly. Let us meet in other videos.